Call to order. Flag salute. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open Public Meetings Act statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies, at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Augusta, Branchville, and Sussex post offices, and notice sent to the New Jersey Herald, the Star Ledger, and the clerk of the boroughs of Branchville and Sussex, and the townships of Frankfort, Lafayette, and Wantage. Mission statement. High Point Regional High School, in partnership with staff, family, and community, is dedicated to the quest for individual excellence. By fostering high standards of achievement, we prepare students to become responsible and productive members of a diverse society. Jim, roll call, please.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Dr. Carrazza?
Present.
Ms. Nugent?
Here.
Ms. Tadona?
Yes.
Dr. Kehoe?
Present.
Dr. Ridley?
Here.
Executive session. A motion will be made that the High Point Regional High School Board of Education enter executive session, provide an update on legal, personnel, and negotiate items which are exempt from public participation pursuant to New Jersey Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Public Meetings Act. Any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public when appropriate. Minutes of the executive session will not be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. The board will reconvene in public session in the cafeteria annex at the conclusion of the executive session. It is not anticipated any action will be taken in the executive session today. Do I have a motion to go?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing no one opposed, we'll move to executive session now. I have a motion to return to public session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing no opposed, we'll move back to public session. Any unfinished business? Seeing no unfinished business, approval of the minutes. The regular meeting minutes, December 17, 2019, executive session minutes, December 17, 2019, reorganization meeting minutes, January 6, 2020, and executive session minutes, January 6, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Second.
Any comments? Seeing no comments, roll call, Jim.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Ms. Tadona?
Yes.
Dr. Kehoe?
Yes. Public comments for agenda items only. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, we will open the public comments for agenda items only at this time. Each speaker should state his or her name and address. You'll have 3 minutes to address the board, which will be timed by the board president. We will limit the section to no longer than 45 minutes. Please be respectful and mindful that your comments are being recorded. Do we have any public comments? Seeing no public comments? Seeing no public comments, we'll move to presentations. We'll start off with the student council.
Kors. I'm the Executive Speaker of the House here at High Point. And so far, student council meetings have been very good. We've had quite a bit of attendance, and a lot of the students that are involved in student council are very eager to get ready for the next event and just prepare to have more community in High Point. And before I talk about what we have upcoming, some of the things that we're doing in winter with the hallway decorating, it turned out to be a very great success, and it promoted a lot of spirit here at High Point, along with Spirit Week, which a lot of kids did interact with and did enjoy. And another one of the things that's not really involved with student council was Fill the Bus, and that turned out to be a very good impact for the school, and we were able to contribute quite a bit of food to the community for people who are not as fortunate as us. And upcoming, we have the Kids for Staff basketball meeting, or basketball game, that is the 7th of February, and on that day, we also have the pep rally, which will be a great way to make more community for High Point, and we're able to have a great time, go out to a game, and be able to just kind of be as one family of High Point. And upcoming with that is Spirit Week, which we are deciding on several factors into it and what certain days are going to be. But overall, we're very ready for what this new year is going to be, and we're very excited for what we have coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
The HPEA, I don't see Ms. Mancuso here. Is anybody that you're going to stay?
We do have two HBA reps that are outstanding.
Thank you.
But if you're not filling in for her, then we'll move on to HBA. Principals report.
We have Ms. Leduc here this evening. Mr. Talame had anticipated being here, but threw his back out over the weekend and stated that he would be going to the doctor. However, subsequent to having heard that, I have seen him at events, and he's trying to push through, but he was unable to be here today. I'm hopeful that he went to the doctor and is taking care of himself. So instead, we have our assistant principal, Ms. Leduc, in his stead.
Good evening. I will say, if Mr. Tommy's not here, it's for a really good reason, because he's always there. All right, so I just have a couple things that I'll review. I'll go through the principal report, and then I'll follow up with that. All right, so for school events, performing arts, we had our chamber singers and the jazz ensemble performed that on WSUS. It was great. First time around, there was Little Shoe. Second time around, we got them on there. It was phenomenal. Community visits, community loves them. It's something that the kids take pride in, stopping in and doing those, so those are awesome. And then there was the candlelight concert and holiday pop concert. So both of those were great. We also had the Hour of Code in the sending districts. That's led by Mr. Drellick, Brian, Emma, and Chris Dexter. And Fill the Bus was big. So I don't know if you saw it in the paper, but it's definitely one of my favorite events. All the food goes to our local Sussex County food pantry. Kids take a lot of pride in doing it. It's just something, it's a phenomenal thing to see. I think we raised over 5,200 pounds in food this year, so it was awesome. Tilly's Kids, so if you're not familiar with Tilly's Kids, our students, they head down to Newark with some staff members, and we do a huge toy collection, and we visit a specific school. Sue Moss, who's in charge of Pass It Along, she connects with Pastor Tilly, and they pick a school, and we go down. This year, we were given a pretty big task, and we did it, so there's a couple people I want to thank for that. Charlotte Pagliaro, she was phenomenal at collecting these 324 gifts. So that was great. We had donations from Sussex Rec, Pass It Along, and Lakeland Bank, so thank you to all of them. Our kids were great, our staff was great, we were all participating and making sure that each kid at the school had a gift, so that was awesome. Some acknowledgements, so for the Fill the Bus committee, just the community in general, we had, a huge turnout, parents coming in, community members that don't even have students in the building were coming in bringing stuff, so that was great. Jill Schaefer, who runs Student Council, she did the Helping Families in Need and the Toys for Tots, which is awesome. She identified X amount of families that, were in need for the holiday, and we kind of collected and we sent that over to them, so that was great. And then Patty Pyatt, the High Point Food Pantry, which we're now converting into a food pantry / clothing pantry. So we're in the process of creating a pretty cool closet for students that are in need of clothing. So it's a nice thing to see. So that was for the month of December, because I know we had the snow day in December. So for the month of January, we had a fantastic 8th grade open house. It was a huge turnout. We had over 300 parents and students attend. Thank you to Kristen Jacobine and a team of staff, administration, and custodial staff that did a phenomenal job at keeping the school looking sparkly clean, and our peer leaders who assisted. It was a really good night. So that was awesome. We had some really good feedback. District Music and Art Celebration Night is Thursday, January 23rd. It's a great community event, so we're looking forward to that. Right now, we're working on all our timelines to be put in place to begin the next school year. So we're really trying to focus on a student-centered schedule. So we're working on that now so that in September we're all good to go. Our marking period ends on January 24th. Right now, we're finishing up midterm exams. It's the first time we've brought midterm exams back in a couple of years. So I think the schedule's worked out pretty well, and we'll see how it goes. We're ending that on Wednesday. Our staff and students continue to shine. Mock trial, we have their county semis Tuesday night, faculty versus student graduation basketball game, which I'm looking forward to see Mr. Campbell and a couple of other staff members come out and show their basketball skills. We had a great time last year. It was a really good turnout.
Officially, there's no prohibition of board members participating in that, right?
I can start
So on
scouting.
play,
I can start scouting. It's a really, really fun event. The kids enjoy it, and you get kids out that maybe don't plan on participating in an organized sport, but they like to play basketball and they want to come out and have fun, so that's awesome. Basketball Pretty in Pink Showcase for Cancer Research was this Saturday. It's the 10th year we've done it, and over the 10 years we've raised over $300,000, so that was a really awesome event as well. I think we all look forward to that. So NASSP, National Association of Secondary School Principals, they have a Student Leadership Advisory Committee, and Mr. Talmy was chosen to be on this committee. It's a 2-year term. They choose 3 principals, 8 students, 3 student council or NHS advisors. So I was really proud to hear that Mr. Talmy got chosen for this. He has a required January committee meeting and then monthly virtual meetings, and it's all focused on student voice and advocacy, meeting with congressional staff and reps, civic education, examples of student leadership in our district, mental health initiatives, and ESSA funding. So he's really excited about it. It's a 2-year term, and I mean, to be one of 3 principals picked. All right, that was that. I'll move on to athletics now. So athletic report, girls basketball, right now 2-9 overall record. The Play for Pink game was held yesterday. Boys team defeated Sussex Tech, and the girls lost to Newton. Boys basketball 7-4 overall. Wrestling 2-1 record thus far. This week they wrestle West Morris on Tuesday night, Mount Olive on Thursday night, North Warren Patriot Bulls on Saturday. Currently, Billy Talmadge is ranked 2nd in the state at 138 pounds, and Brian Soldano is ranked number 1 at 160 pounds. Bowling, we're 1-10 overall. HWS tournament is this Wednesday at Oakwood Lanes in Washington. Swimming, HWS tournament this weekend at Kittatinny. Girls and boys are both 1-6 thus far. Ice hockey overall, 3-8-1. Skiing, regular season has just begun. Tri-meet tomorrow at Mountain Creek. And Travis Talme will represent High Point at the Morris County Football Foundation Scholar Athlete Awards on March 26th at the Madison Hotel. All right, now moving on to my favorite part. Not that I don't like all of them, but all right. So I love this part just because I get to be a part of something so great. I get to be a part of recognizing our educators in our building that do stuff that I don't think we usually see on a regular basis, right? So you're like, oh, they're a math teacher. Ooh, I used to be a math teacher. So a fan of math. Or, oh, she's working in the media center. I wonder what's going on there. But if you can't get in there, you just kind of see them as, oh, I'm sure they're doing a great job. I get the opportunity to pop in there, to have these conversations, and to see what they do outside of just the regular job description. So I'm going to start off with our Governor Educator of the Year. So this dedicated teacher in the math department has served as an instructional leader here since 1991. Her passion, genuine love, and enthusiasm for mathematics is contagious, truly is. And on an annual basis, her schedule presents an opportunity to influence our brightest and most challenged students. She battles and overcomes a societal frustration and resentment towards mathematics, which is very true, and diffuses the anxiety with a classroom environment of laughter, flexibility, and warmth. Her co-teaching team has set the standard for in-class support. There is little to no sense of the distinction between the regular and special education teacher. Both teachers are actively teaching all students. She studies the mountains of standardized test data and actually takes the assessments to herself so she can relate to students when they struggle with specific questions. She is here early, stays late, and is always willing to take an active role in her department and as a teacher leader. She is challenging yet realistic, firm yet kind, concerned with math education as well as her students' individual personal growth and well-being. She truly puts all students first. I'd like to proudly congratulate Mrs. Kirsten Sable. All right, so now I'd like to acknowledge our educational service professional. So this dedicated educational service professional is bright, motivated, a team player, and one of the most passionate people you can come across that I know. She's effective in working with all levels of learners and makes every effort to explore ways in making our media center a welcoming place to be. She knows how to best motivate and relate to all types of students and is always willing to listen and lend a helping hand. From coaching to staff support, her efforts have been remarkable. Her flexibility, knowledge, and ability to work with coworkers and students are to be admired and celebrated. She's an incredible asset to our district and our students. I'd like to proudly congratulate Mrs. Mimi Benton. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Stay warm.
Thank you very much.
Good job, ladies. And I'm very familiar with the fact that you'll be getting some wonderful plaques at the end of the school year. Oh, that's great. Very nice.
Thank you very much. I would like to say very well deserved, and I know from a personal level as a parent of children that taught and touched their lives in many great ways. So thank you.
Both of these professionals are leaders among our staff and have had a lasting, enduring, profound impact on our community at large. And we are a better place and a better community for each of you. Thank you.
And they sent their kids to this school too.
We moved here to send our kids to
Right,
school.
right. I mean, you guys are just such high point people. You're the family, you're what it's all about. You teach here, you live here, your family's here, your kids came to school here, and you still care. Still crazy after all these years.
That's true.
Mr. Campbell, curriculum and instruction?
Great, thank you, good evening. Congratulations to our recognized faculty members, and I would say Mrs. Anderson commented on their commitment to the community, having taught their children. I think they are far surpassed as parents as they are as the great educators that they are.
You get plaques for everything.
Yeah, your children were wonderful, and you guys are great. Congratulations. Nice. I've dubbed this the picture of the year. I think that our lady wrestlers are. What's that?
Not you, no.
Tough, classy, gritty, proud, and just exciting. They're awesome. It's just a great story. I believe it's one of the nicest things to happen to our school, to be the flagship wrestling program in Northwest Jersey, and not to have one or two or three young ladies who want to try it, but to have a real team mentality is fantastic. And I often, or a few times I've passed along credit to Coach Bang, who's always really quick to say that it's Mr. Gardner and Mr. Smith, and Mr. Belcher, and Mr. Thomas who really, mentored her. So it's great, just great to see. So last night was fabulous. Just a tremendous event. Mr. Fenlon live streamed 4 games, so you can stay in your pajamas and still feel pink and excited. Over $300,000 raised. Dr. Carrazzo was there. He's not here right now, but he was sweeping the floor. He was there all day, as were many high point people. So fantastic event, and we're very proud of the day. Martin Luther King Day, today at lunchtime, we had 25 staff members accept an invitation from Mrs. Fenlon and Mrs. Loyola to come in and have a conversation about race and to kick off our latest book club book, which is How to Be an Anti-Racist. So it was a very appropriately timed kind of luncheon, but as much as we've done a great job with the book club, or Mrs. Fenlon has, we hope that the event we had today will be followed with more meaningful, challenging, in-depth conversations with our faculty. We have the privilege of working with passionate, well-educated, articulate, opinionated people, and so we need to take advantage of that and have tough conversations, not only for our own edification, but to mirror that critical skill that is now so lacking in our society. So thank you for your leadership on that. It was a very nice event. We started out the morning with some training, a mandatory training for all staff, Handle with Care. And we are very fortunate that we are at a school where physical conflict is quite the rarity. But Handle with Care, Mr. Alex Gonzalez and Ms. Kate Panera went to a 3-day training, and they turned key that training this morning. Appropriately, they spent 15 or 20 minutes speaking about de-escalation from a verbal standpoint. We deal with adolescents, and most of our conflicts are merely those that could be avoided if we thought a little differently and acted a little differently in the first few minutes of that conflict. It's the rare occasion where we need to use a hold on a student that is really lost control and is very upset. But in the afternoon, the special ed department and other teachers met with them and practiced some of the physical moves. We do not want to threaten or injure or use pain techniques. The whole approach is to calm the student down, communicate with them what's going to happen, let them, body language, your hands being open and not being a fist, etc. And those are key skills to know for the rare occasion when you do have to use a physical approach or physical support to a student that necessitates that. So thank you to them for that training. I thought it was meaningful and the staff responded well to it. This evening we are requesting the Board of Education to consider and approve our program of studies for next year, which is an annual requirement. It's a fantastic document. I'll show you how to get there. It's currently on the opening page of our website. So if you go to our website, it's right on the scroll page. Click on it. It will take you to our scheduling section. And our program of studies went from being a Word document to now an interactive PDF that is hyperlinked. It's got videos, it's got charts, etc. Not every student or parent is going to read 120 pages. However, when a specific decision that's quite difficult as far as what level math to take, or what science to take as a sophomore, or how I might use this course choice to move to another course, it's a very valuable, useful document. In the program of studies that was submitted for consideration, we are revising a handful of courses. I think it's very important to note that civics will never be eliminated in the sense that it is one of the 4 fundamental principles of social studies. More than that, civics should be embedded throughout the entire curriculum. Science, health, language arts, etc. But social justice in America is an elective that basically looks at how individuals in a democracy can take action to bring about change. So it's really active citizenship and very much a similar course to civics. Our technology teachers have done a phenomenal job as the staff in those departments have contracted to maintain their higher level courses. They have combined levels 3 and level 4. So rather than saying after 3 years, it's going to be level 3 and level 4 in one class, we're going to combine that into a capstone experience for those students and have it be a bit more uniform. Likewise with both engineering design and power engineer. American military history, we have a American military history 1 and 2. They're going to be combined into one American military history. 25 years ago, physics barely existed. It's now a course which is taken by, I'm going to guess, 70% of our graduates approximately, and we have different levels. CPA physics and CPB physics. There's a requirement, an ethical and legal requirement, that one course, level A and level B, I'm sorry, just hit enter, should go back, thank you. Back up a little bit. That's it, thank you. We're changing the focus just a bit to mathematical physics, which is a bit more advanced for a student that might still want to go on AP physics, and conceptual physics for a student who wants to experience that physical science, but not at the high level math that would matriculate on to AP. Academic support instruction. We're taking a very popular, successful course and removing the special ed designation so that it's open to both special ed students and regular education students. It's a form of our RTI. Sometimes we have a student that is in real need of support, and to be able to put them into a structured environment where they're getting academic support, we think will benefit regular education students as well. Of the new courses, Job Skills is a transition program within our special education department. Comic book lit, DC versus Marvel. I think our students will respond very well to that. There's a population that's very, very, very intrigued by that type of literature. Tomorrow's Teachers is the course I'm most excited about. Over 150 high schools have had this program at some point. At present, Jefferson and Sparta. I apologize, Dr. Ripley, if you could help.
No, what am I hitting?
Enter, please. Again,
Twice?
perhaps.
3 times a charm?
So while that's calibrating, tomorrow's Teachers is a tremendous program where you take a full year course at High Point, and in the spring, you link with a middle school teacher at one of our sending districts, leave 90 minutes early in the afternoon, and essentially be doing sort of what our teachers or what teachers do as a practicum experience as an undergrad. My neighbor in Sparta did it, and she's now about to become a teacher. And after 4 years at Delaware University, she said that this was the program still that had the most impact on her. Her portfolio from this program, she's bringing to job interviews now as a college senior. So it's going to require some creative scheduling to accommodate students doing this, but I would love to have our students in the middle schools engaged in that activity. It's not just for young men and women who may want to be teachers. Public speaking, professional responsibilities, organization, collaborating with people is really a key skill, so we're excited about that. We have 2 more days of midterm exams, tomorrow and Wednesday. So far they're going quite well. A year ago we began to plan how to revise these midterms, and 16 staff members collaborated for several months, and we came up with 7 goals for what we wanted these midterms to be. Just sort of summarizing them. Elevate the environment, that the rigor of having to prepare for an assessment is something the staff thought was important. Reinforce what is taught. Collaboration is what today was really about. Teachers who teach a common course trying to look at how their respective students did on a common assessment. And the last is to take a look at what students did and revise. So if we can identify with our own in-house assessment that students did poorly on 18th century historical documents or primary sources or identifying the primary purpose, etc., we can respond and try and emphasize those skills more in the future. For 4 Wednesdays in March, we're going to have a PD event here at High Point. Frankfurt, Sussex Wantage, Lafayette, our charter school and High Point will be hosting. It's going to be at High Point, but it's not a High Point event to give credit to our neighbors. It's really the 5 schools working together. And the first 4 programs that we're going to have are world language, science, social studies, and English. Very much like an ed camp style where teachers bring best practices. So it's not sit and listen, it's for each one of these, here's 2 topics related to your subject. Bring something about them or any one of your best practices, and we will facilitate an active session. We're also going to provide a light lunch for all the participants, and we've extended the invitation to the entire county. So we may get 12 people, we may get 120. It's our first year doing it, but we're excited to host that right here. Last Saturday, 80 educators came here, and Ms. Jacqueline McCarthy is an absolute force to be reckoned with. She created a PD event. We had people from all over New Jersey. The author of the book, Don't Know Much About History, Kenneth C. Davis, I told him that a student gave that to me once and that, I was a little bit offended, but what the heck. Just kidding. He Skyped in from Manhattan and spoke to us about a whole career in writing as a historian. Google was here, Google education team, Newsella was here. It was a great day, and hats off to Jacqueline for her hard work. PSAT results came in December, and I've been crunching some numbers, and I shared this with the staff this morning, and I want to share it with you. We're very proud of the fact that we educate all students to some degree blind of their zip code or background, but we do measure from time to time how our students do from different districts. That's an essential piece of vertical articulation. If we find out that all of our math students that come from District A are weak in a certain area when they're here, we communicate that to them, and hopefully it provides data that's helpful for them. All 9th, 10th, and 11th graders took the PSAT this October. Those are the scores of the High Point mean average and Montague students. So you'll see that the 9th graders at High Point, the mean score was 910. Our incoming students from Montague were 893. However, the juniors who tested this year, the High Point average was 961. The Montague average was 986. So it's encouraging to see that 11th grade performance was so strong. However, there's a considerable flaw in this piece of data. It doesn't compare apples to apples because it's comparing this year's 9th graders and this year's 11th graders. Those are different students. So, that's just in case you couldn't see that graph before. Okay. I was having some problems with the PowerPoint. So it's nice to see where students, how they perform relative to the entire group. However, the problem with this, obviously, is it's 2 different sets of people. So the next slide takes a look at 2017 and 2019. Well, how did one particular cohort do? How did our current juniors do when they were freshmen and when they were juniors? And here you'll see that our current juniors, when they were freshmen, High Point average was 884, Montague average was 865. Now that same cohort this year, High Point average was 961, Montague students just phenomenal. 986, really knocked it out of the park. Very proud of all our students, but particularly the great success of those Montague students. That doesn't tell the whole story, because with student populations, you get 9th grade scores of students who transferred out, or 11th grade scores who transferred in. So, taking only students who took the PSAT at High Point twice, once as a 9th grader at High Point, and then once as an 11th grader at High Point, we calculated the mean growth per sending district. And we found that our students from Montague, specific students, excluding any students who only took the test once. This is only students who took the test in-house twice, had the highest rate of growth. And there's growth across the board. So not only are we happy that all students are demonstrating growth, we're happy that when we isolate on one very specific, not even a cohort, but specific individual students, we see that any claim that one particular group is substantially ahead of the other would be, based upon this data, unfounded. And it's also helpful, I think, to look at that 9th grade assessment because we administered that in the very first week of October freshman year. That's a really good snapshot of where that student is at when they come to us. And then the 11th grade one, of course, is 2 years later. So we thought that was encouraging information. We believe in the success of all students, and we believe that,
Mr. Campbell, approximately how many students in that group, just for, if they're statistically significant?
I can get back to you on that. I know that at present we have approximately, I think we have 25 11th graders from Montague. But the number would probably be smaller, probably closer to 20. Okay?
So 20 plus then.
Right. Okay.
I didn't know that was doing that.
Right. So I just wanted to share that as a when we get we get a lot of data. So we get data after PSAT, we get it after Park in the spring. Time consuming, but every now and then we take a look and say, how are our students doing from the various districts? And that, I think, shows a healthy performance across the board. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The next area is the board objectives, and I want to review the board goals and discuss progress so far this year. 2 objectives are reviewing and updating the Board of Education bylaws to ensure greater transparency in operations. After reviewing, if you have your comments in, you'll get it into Dr. Ripley and Jim, where they'll put them together and send them over to the policy committee to synthesize. And we'd like to get everybody's comments in by the end of this month and try to start putting them together by the end of February. The other goal is during the calendar year and over the next several years, Board of Education is becoming certified under the New Jersey School Board Association. Part of being certified, we take, as a group, 16 credits in 4 courses over the 4 courses a year over the 4 years for 16 credits. And next meeting we have in February, we have a 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock training session for our first one for 2020.
Can I make a comment on that?
If you would, please.
I think it's really good that we're doing this. I enjoy the workshops that are brought to us by Kathy Hallow from New Jersey School Boards. It's very, very valuable. I just want to point out that our goal said that we would earn board certification. And even if we get these 4 courses in every year, we don't have the same board members, and so that negates our effort for certification. It doesn't negate our effort to be knowledgeable, to have instruction in these areas, but unless it's got to be the exact same group of board members, and that just doesn't happen because we have elections and people go off and come back on. Am I wrong in saying that?
No,
I don't think it's the exact same board members, I think it's a certain percentage.
A percentage has to
of
be?
board members, yeah.
Okay, because that was my question, it just seemed,
yeah, no board would ever.
I know, and I'm trying to think which.
I think it was like a 67, like as long as we don't have 3 board members, 2 years.
In the 4 years that we have to do
I think
this.
that's what it was.
There was-
We can get clarification.
It was a high number.
Yeah, it's a high number,
It was a
but that
high
has to
number.
be-
That would not
but-
reflect poorly on us.
Right, right,
So it's,
exactly.
we're doing, the board is doing their due diligence.
Let's
so
just
we
count
have
it
this-
next month.
And not only must we do the combined training, each person has to take the individual training that's required for the year. So if we can, everybody's staying current so far on their training, and we'll be current on our group training. Thank you. Thank you, woman from Branchville. Other business? Any other business? Okay, action items, seeing no other business, we'll start with curriculum.
Okay, so we've received the following data, faculty attendance, student attendance, and suspension report. And therefore, and then we will make a motion to move items 4 through 8. 4 through 8.
Yep.
It is, 4 is recommended by the Superintendent Board of Education approves harassment, intimidation, and bullying report. Recommend the approval of the curricular and co-curricular field trips. Approve the professional development activities. Approve the revised school calendar. And approves the 2021 program of study. So, can I have a motion to? And a second. Oh, second motion. Got it.
Second.
I'm learning, I'm getting it.
Any comments? No questions? Seeing no comments or questions, roll call please.
Mr. Arnold,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Ms. Dona,
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe,
Yes.
Dr. Keough.
Yes. Moving on to personnel.
Gonna,
Mr. Delman?
yeah, it's recommended the superintendent of the board of education accepts with regret the retirement notification of Denise Wilson, special education teacher, effective July 1st, 2020.
Second?
Any comments? Questions?
I have a comment. I remember when Denise came to work, we had a special class for autistic children, and she was tucked in the corner up above the library, and there was a nice, strong young man who helped her handle with care as these children would run out of the room and they had to bring them back. And I was amazed by Denise. I'm like, wow, she seemed so unflapped by all of this craziness that was going on in that classroom. And that's who Denise is. She's just like, I know there's a lot of passion, a lot of thought, a lot of concern for everything that goes on in school. Her kids, she was a very strong leader in the HPEA after I had left the position, and she's just, so much is going on in there, but she has this calmness about her that makes you feel like all's right with the world. And she's going to be missed. Her kids respected her ability to, her classroom management was way better than mine ever was. Very good, she's very strong in the classroom, and she's just going to be so missed by her students and by her fellow faculty and aides. And
Especially the specials at Roadkill.
yes, yes, she was she was part of the roadkill providers. So she's going to have a great time with her grandkids, and it's going to be wonderful, but she's going to be missed.
I would like to reiterate the comments and say that it's impossible to replace Denise Wilson. For the community has been incredibly blessed. The number of students who have been blessed because of her, and we are in a better place for her having been here. I wish her nothing but success and happiness in her retirement, and just to say congratulations. You'll be very, very much missed.
No, it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe that wasn't a Shipley boy that worked up there, was it?
No, who it was, John did work there after, but
Okay. It was
the gentleman who ran
just
for
ran for
sheriff.
sheriff, yes, and lost.
Yeah, but he was amazing. He was such
Yes,
a
he
good
was-
guy.
I can't
think of his
remember,
name.
but he was wonderful. I voted for him for sheriff because I knew how
Say
good he
again?
was up in the classroom. That doesn't ring a bell. Bowden doesn't.
No, he ran for.
Bowden.
Bowden, that's who
Yes,
it was.
Yes.
Yeah, he worked in that room, and
Yes.
he was, talk about another incredibly kind,
Yeah.
calm person. They were
Yeah.
such a good team.
He had it all over them.
No other comments, roll call please.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Mr. Dona,
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Dr. Kehoe?
Yes.
Okay, and number 2, it is recommended by the superintendent, the Board of Education accepts with regret the retirement notification of Margaret Havens, learning disabilities teacher consultant, effective July 1st. Second?
Second.
Comments?
Yes. Yes. I don't even know where to begin, and Margie better watch this after it's done. I remember when Margie came to work here, she wasn't gonna stay long, a couple of years, and then be gone. She started our first swim team with Tom,
Costello.
never thought I'd forget his name, Tommy Costello. And she was recruited by my father-in-law when he was the AD to come. He said, "You look like a girl that can run. Why don't you become a field hockey coach? I need field hockey coaches. I can't get any officials, not coaches, officials." So she trained and became an official. And she, out in the field, she would teach the little kids how to play field hockey, even though she's official. She would officiate grade school matches, and she would go to the parents' grandstands and say, "Now let me tell you why I just made that call." She was always teaching with a very loud, energetic voice. If there was laughter coming from any part of the building, it was Margie's because you could hear her a mile away, or she had created the situation to make people laugh. She's just a ball of energy and fun. Her face, okay, so she was a teacher, then she started the first special ed. You're gonna have to fill me in on all the vocabulary, but she did that thing where the kids went out and got jobs. And then she would send them to A&P and then go out and visit them for the special ed kids, not the regular ed, that was the co-op class, but she started the special ed kids. She was at the beginning of so many things that are in place in our school. She was a strong leader in the union. She and I got into it a lot in the union. She was a great pal to have as we tried to keep things orderly and well running around here. She became a child study team member. And I tell her all the time, I said, "You are the face, the smiling face that greets all the crazy, excited, unhappy people that come into your office. And somehow you laugh and give them chocolate and everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay." She just has that way about her that she connects to people. She connects to her students, she connects to her students' parents. She is somebody whose energy is going to be when she doesn't come back in that door. Late, on time, or early, the energy is going to be gone. So I know she's going to have a blast. You have to get in touch with her. She'll read your card. She'll do your astrology chart. Whatever you need done, Margie can take care of to improve your life. And she's going to have a great time doing it. So have fun, Margie. I'll see you more often. Bye.
I just want to say that, as time passes and we continue to have these, there's only about 10 people left who were here before me, and 3 of them are in the room. And Margie, I believe, is the longest tenured staff member at High Point.
Just ask her.
And she is a young woman.
Yeah.
And the energy about which you speak is evident. She's a very strong woman. And I mean that in the most absolute, most positive manner. And an institution, someone who has always been here and always a seminal presence in High Point at large, in whatever capacity that was, with students, with staff, with community. And I just wish you nothing but the best, and you will be missed, and congratulations, Margie.
Roll call check?
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Ms. Tadona?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Kehoe?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to move items 3 and 4 together. It's recommended by the superintendent that we approve Rose Wolfhoff as student teacher through William Patterson through the remainder of the 2019-2020 school year with Mr. James Aslanian. Thank you. And then number 4, it's recommended by the superintendent, the Board of Education approves Riley Malone as a substitute teacher for the remainder of the school year. Receipt of the necessary paperwork.
Second?
Any comments? Roll call?
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Dona?
Yes.
Mr. Eckler?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Dr. Kehoe?
Yes.
Okay, item number 5, it's recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the following 6th period assignments beginning January 27th until the new teacher arrives as listed. Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to make it clear that the teacher who left on Friday was his last day, who relocated to South Jersey, taught 6 periods. These individuals will be picking up 1 period each of those 6 periods, which leaves 3 more periods to fill. That will be filled administratively by Mr. Drellick, who is a certificated teacher of technology. Let me rephrase that. I will put him on a future agenda for board consideration, but I will tell you that this happened rather quickly, and it is not an agenda item on this evening because I did not want to confuse it with this agenda item. And so it will be an agenda item that I will request retroactive approval from the board.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Dona?
Yes.
Mr. Eckler?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Abstain?
Dr. Kehoe?
Yes.
Okay, and last item, it's recommended by the superintendent that the board approves the revised job description listed below about the administrative assistant to the business administrator. That second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, if I could just have an understanding of whose job this is, you're revising.
This was a job that we eliminated as of July 1, 2020. The business administrator, because that position was the administrative assistant to both the business administrator and the supervisor of buildings and grounds. We eliminated that position. It is evident that there are still some challenges that we have, and my recommendation would be to reconsider this as a part-time position temporarily to determine whether it is an appropriate position to maintain on a part-time basis. So I requested the revision of the job description so as to realize that it would be part-time and to remove some of the responsibilities currently in the main office would go to this position, which I'm recommending as a part-time position.
You mentioned that the job was eliminated July 1st, 2020?
2019, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's what I put in. What is part-time?
Part-time is less than 30 hours. The anticipation would approximately be a 20-hour commitment.
If the job is eliminated, you're asking for us to reconsider a job description? Are you asking for us to reinstate the job or just to discuss the job description?
Well, the job description, sorry.
No, I was going to clarify, because why would we have a job description if we don't have a job?
Well, the job description needed to be revised preliminarily before I were to pursue requesting to fill the position on a part-time basis for the remainder of the 1920 school year. So this would be the first step in pursuing that, yes.
Also, I think that, and I don't know currently because I haven't been keeping up with it, but in the past, there were job descriptions on the books for positions that were not filled. They just existed, even though there wasn't anybody in the position. So having a job description on the books, although I always used to say, why do you have that? I was going to complain about it. And then I was told, well, you can keep the job description on the books, and then if you need to fill it, it's there for you. So it's just another way to manage personnel. But so it doesn't necessarily mean that just because you have a job description that you have to fill it, and it also doesn't mean the inverse, if that's correct, that you have to, well,
In my experience, when a job is eliminated, the job description goes too. So you don't have it hanging around whether you can just fill it when you want. You would have to then ask to reinstate a job or to create a new job. Not just say, we're going to change the job description, which sounds like a backdoor way of filling a job.
Well,
Well-
you have to, in order to post for the position in the school, which you're required to do, you have to have a description first, is my understanding.
But you should have approval to add a job. When you eliminate one, in my experience, the board is eliminating the position. So you would normally, the step would be, I'd like to reinstate a position. Then you do the job description for it, then you fill it. By eliminating a job, just asking to change the job description, you're effectively approving a job that was eliminated already without asking permission to fill the job again, to create the job position again.
I don't think so.
let me
And in my
clarify.
experience, everywhere else I've been, that's the way.
Schools are definitely.
That
Yeah,
job
schools don't.
description was officially removed from the active job descriptions. And so what you're stating is accurate, that in that we did remove it, it was abolished. So my request is to revise and reinstate.
The description.
I know it doesn't say reinstate, it says to revise.
Does
Because I
anybody
don't,
want to make a motion on this, or do you want to save that for another?
This is the motion, oh, I'm sorry.
The motion is for a job description that doesn't exist.
to approve a job description.
Right, for a job that doesn't exist.
Well,
We have to reinstate a job before you,
I don't think so, but how can you put somebody in a job that you don't have a job description for?
you can't have a job description for a job that doesn't
I
exist.
disagree.
Montague got a lot of trouble for doing that, so I think that, and this is a good
Yes,
example of
yes.
where you kind of have to put the,
Put the job description in first and then discuss if you're going to put somebody in it and then who you make the recommendation of who it's gonna
You
be.
want to make a vote on the job description for a job that doesn't exist.
For a job that may exist in the future, but it can't exist if you don't have.
Okay,
a
so we're
description.
voting, I just want to make sure we're voting on a job description for a job that doesn't exist. Says there has to be a motion to create the job.
I make a motion.
Well, it's there.
The motion-
is
I
there.
second the motion.
It's.
This is a motion for a revised job description.
Right,
That's all it is.
But
Yes.
the superintendent said there is no position.
So my
It was
understanding is
eliminated.
that there's a discussion, ongoing discussion in personnel and policy regarding a potential position. Okay, so I'm expecting to vote on a job description, not the adding of a head count at this point. I mean, perhaps it's something we want to refer back to personnel policy committee.
I think we should approve the job description.
But I mean, I'm personally not opposed to modifying or revising a job description at this point. I think there's obviously another discussion that is ongoing.
Right, this would be just the job description, and then the next part would be filling the position.
Yes.
Well, no, you keep it going that it doesn't exist. So
I
how can you
understand
fill a
that,
job
but
that doesn't exist?
That's what we're trying to do.
No, this is-
We're
if
trying to
you
make
read
the
the
job
motion-
exist
the
so we
motion-
can fill it.
The motion is for a job description.
Yes.
The superintendent said the job was eliminated, position was eliminated. So you're voting on a job description for a position that does not exist.
Okay, but then maybe you can make it exist next month, or never.
That's a
But-
possibility.
But,
I just don't
we
know
need
why
a
you
job
vote on a
description.
job description for a position that doesn't
The
exist.
definition of a job description is, it defines the job, correct? I mean, so there is the necessity to define a job. There is a possibility we could not find, we may not be able to find a person that fits a particular definition. So the definition has to be established prior to searching for that person. I mean, I understand, I think
But you're
we all
again-
understand
you're
that there's.
again all assuming there's a job position where the superintendent said the job position was eliminated.
well, he
So it would be like eliminating one of the vice principals, not that we're doing it, and then saying, let's revise the description. We'll say, why would we describe the job description for a position we just eliminated? Just eliminated July 1st. 6 months ago, we eliminated this position. And now we're voting on revising the job description for a position that was eliminated by the board.
So but this is he said it was a reinstatement.
It's not what the motion says.
Okay.
But we're revising a job description.
For a position that does not exist.
But we're not encumbering ourselves to have to hire somebody by passing this particular motion.
No, you can't, there's a position that doesn't exist.
So how do you
I'm okay.
suggest that we would go about doing that when?
In my experience on other boards, you vote on the job position, then the administration puts together the job description within the parameters of the job description that the board approved. In other words, the board approves a new vice principal, and then it's up to the administration to put together the description of that vice principal and hire him, and get board to then approve the hiring. But you don't approve a job description of vice principal that doesn't exist, with the thing that maybe we'll hire somebody in the future.
Well, I guess it's just,
I feel like it's semantics, quite honestly, and I think that it's just putting us, if this is a position that is needed, then we are now going to be behind the eight ball another month because of the next, we have to, so you're essentially saying you want to approve the title of the position, and then next month approve the description of the position, and then possibly the following month approve the person hired for the position. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying any of that. All that I'm saying is, there's currently not a position. So you're just approving a job description for a position that doesn't exist.
but one that had,
But it was canceled by the board. It was eliminated by the board.
right?
As Dr. Ripley said, 6 months ago. The board eliminated it. And now we're voting on a job description for a position that doesn't exist. If you're going to put a job description, you normally do it for a job that exists.
Well, it's a job that had existed.
It had existed.
And
Well, there
then-
were a lot of jobs that had
eliminated.
existed. Why don't we do new job descriptions for all the old jobs we used to have? Maybe the German teacher.
Do you know what, there is a job description for our German teacher.
The German teacher was eliminated.
But it still exists.
Well, you can have a description, that's fine.
That's what we're
Position-
doing.
the
That's what
position
we're doing.
doesn't
We're putting a
describe-
description in place. So
You-
that
you
at the
can-
time
you can
when
do
we
it.
want
There
to
is no
fill it,
position.
if we want to fill it, then we can fill it. Because we know what the job is, we know what the description of the job is, we know what we
Actually, you can't
need.
fill it until the board approves.
Well, of course, of course. When I say you can fill, I mean, we can approve to fill it. That
can
goes
always-
without saying.
I'm
Under
just,
laws.
my recommendation is you would do it in the long order. In my experience, that's the way you do it. You approve positions before you approve what the job description is.
Okay, any other discussion?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, then can we have a roll call?
Mr. Radcliffe,
Yes.
Mr. Arnold,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yeah, I don't feel that this encumbers us, so I'm going to say yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Ms. Sedona,
Yes.
Dr. Kehoe.
No. All right, extracurricular, there's no items at this point. Policy, there's no items at this time. Negotiations, there's no items at this time. Buildings and grounds.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approves the staff versus student project graduation basketball tournament fundraiser to be held on February 7th, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the main gym. I'm looking for a motion.
Second.
I make the motion. Discussion? Okay, roll call?
Mr. Arnold,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Ms. Sedona,
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe,
Yes.
Dr. Kehoe.
Yes. Finance,
In finance, I would like to move items 1 through 5 together. Item 1 is a recommendation to accept the report of the Board Secretary Business Administrator for the month of December 2019. Item 2 is a recommendation to accept the report of the Treasurer for the month of December 2019 with a certification as listed. Item 3 is a recommendation to approve the report of the transfers and minimum expense transfer report for the month of December 2019. Item 4 is a recommendation to approve for payment the attached schedule of audited bills dated January 20th, 2020. And item 5 is a recommendation to accept the adult education agency account, athletic account, cafeteria account, principal petty cash, and school store account for the month of December 2019. I make a motion seeking a second.
Second.
Any discussion on items 1 through 5? None? Roll please.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Mr. Dona,
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe,
Yes.
Mr. Arnold,
Yes.
Dr. Kehoe.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to move item 6 as a recommendation that a board accepts, approves, and places on file a comprehensive annual financial report, also known as audit, and correction action plan for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2019. There was one corrective recommendation made as follows. Number 6, the district take better care with reporting students to the Department of Education for the application for state school aid. The corrective action plan is as follows. Work papers for on-roll, resident low income, and resident LEP low income will be reviewed to ensure that the totals match the Department of Education reported ASSA data. I make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion on item 6?
I'm just wondering if the corrective action plan, the one piece of that they noted, does that have anything to do with the information provided to us or not provided to us by sending districts?
I don't believe so. It turned out to be, in our work papers, 125 students were listed as low income, and the correct number was 120. It has been corrected, it's been corrected in the submitted ASSA. It was just in the work papers, and the auditor said next year, they want to make sure those work papers and the final submission agree.
And Jim, if I'm not mistaken, the auditor said there was absolutely no other further action that needed to be done on that?
That's correct, no further action.
And if I'm not mistaken, they said it was an excellent report?
Yes, they said it was an excellent report.
Yes, I think they described this particular action item as a minor nonconformance.
Correct.
My experience with audits is that auditors typically need to find at least something. It's worth noting that the corrective action that was noted in the previous year's report, I believe something to do with our student accounts.
The student activities account
Was corrected and is not present in this year's annual report. So,
And that, what, I believe they said they were on it too, back then.
they were,
Minor.
that was a minor, yeah, that was
Minor
absolutely a
also.
minor corrective action. Sure.
I just want to qualify that ASSA is inclusive of students who are from the sending districts. It is not inclusive of any send-receive relationship for tuition students.
And they also complimented the business office.
Yes.
on this, too, so.
Yeah, I was going to make that comment that we asked the auditors for the synopsis, if you will. You know, what do you see elsewhere? And I believe I can say that, you know, we received a stellar report from them about our business office, and I'd like to commend Mr. Minkwitz in keeping our ship sailing straight financially. This is important information. It's an important report, and for making it easy.
Thank you. As always, I say there's a stellar crew, so.
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion on that, take a roll call.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Ms. Dodona?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Dr. Kehoe?
Yes. Transportation,
Okay, I'm gonna move items 1 through 5. Number 1 is contract for parental contract for a student, one student. Number 2 is another one student joint transportation agreement. Number 3 is transportation costs for the swim team as listed. Number 4 are a bunch of quoted contracts for trips that are to be taken as listed. And number 5 is quota group for a transportation of special needs student. So those items 1 through 5. I need a second.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call?
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Donna?
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Kehoe?
Yes. Long-term planning, there's no items at this point. Legal, there's no legal issues at this point. Correspondence, there's no correspondence at this point. Miscellaneous, the board and the district would like to acknowledge and thank Mr. Chad Cowell of Petromechanics for his generous donation to the Bradford Donadio Scholarship Fund, one of High Point Regional High School's longest-running scholarships. And I'd like to say that I know the Donadio family personally, and I give Mr. Cowell a lot of credit for stepping in, even though the Donadios have, some have passed, some have moved on, and Mr. Cowell has continued to go to his credit. I would personally like to thank him. Public comments. At this point in time, we'll open it up. Please give your name and address. We'll keep it again to 3 minutes and a total of 45 minutes. It can be any item you want. Anybody but Seamus? Seeing nobody for public comments? Non-committee board member reports or comments? Seeing no non-committee board members reports or comments? Other business. Jim?
We received 2 open requests the past 2 months, December and January, one in December, one in January. The one in December, I believe it's the 3rd time I've received an open request. It's from a company, a solicitor. They asked for purchasing records, and this time they asked for the most current purchasing records. The other open request was by Stephanie Gita, requesting any and all communication between High Point and Montague regarding the January 7th district choir practice and January 23rd performance. We were able to reach out to our supervisors and administrators and collect any correspondence that went between 2 schools and provided that to Ms. Gita, and she was very effective.
Okay. Seeing no other items, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing nobody opposed, we'll adjourn the meeting tonight. Thank you, everyone.